Welcome back. It's just about 15 minutes to 9 p.m. Wow. Time just goes by when having fun, and it's been a jam-packed show thus far. Time now for the Car Talk segment, right? So in tonight's Car Talk segment, I'm speaking to Winston Jordaan, who is obviously from GridCars. He's the CEO of GridCars, and we're going to talk about how to take care of your electric motor car in the long term and to get the best battery life from it, etc. And also, the electronic vehicle uptake is expected to increase in South Africa, right? Now, we're ushering towards the holiday season right now, and we've seen a lot of garages around the country where they have the battery powered chargers, etc. And for those of you who are using a electric powered vehicle, etc., I want you to interact with us on 0617660355. Send through your comments and feedback. I welcome now to the program into the Car Talk segment CEO of GridCars, Mr. Winston Jordaan, to talk to us a bit more about this tonight and how to take care of your electronic vehicle on a long-term basis, right? Winston, good evening. Welcome to Salam Media and to the Friday Night Live program with me, ST.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time. Great to be with us. Right. First things first, okay? You're the CEO of GridCars. Now, before we get into that, Winston Jordaan, what was your involvement in motor car industry prior to getting involved with electronic vehicles?
I spent quite a few years dreaming about designing vehicles, and we did a few, and we did some vehicles in the mining space, and we built a few prototype vehicles with the initial ambition to want to build them, but really to actually achieve that is really, really complex. I think Elon Musk said it very well one day when he said, when you've got your first prototype, you're only 1% of the way through the money you're going to need. And, as we realized that, we decided to rather focus the business more on supporting systems like charging infrastructure, back-end systems, billing systems, and rather build that industry for the other automotive companies.
Okay, interesting. Now, I want to talk about GridCars and obviously what you guys are offering. But before we get into that, looking at the electronic vehicle uptake in South Africa. Now, GridCars, obviously, you focus on a lot of powering South Africa's in the electronic vehicle revolution, right? I know you've got something called Solar F, and how to charge your EV with the extensive charging network, right? Now, all the way from Polokwane until Cape Town. Right, you've got a network, as I understand. I came across this when I was in the Free State, the one there along the N1 highway towards Cape Town. Stopped in, I think it was Kroonstad, and there was another place after Colesberg. I think it was just before Bloemfontein. No, it was actually in Bloemfontein by a Cecil garage. And I saw this unit, like, just in the front of a, pump, and it says Jaguar, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, okay. In a small dorpie in the Free State, who on earth is driving a Jaguar electronic powered vehicle? And I looked around and I'm like, okay, I don't know whether this thing get looted or what, but I said, okay, I left that there and carried on my journey. And then I'm looking at your map right now and I'm wondering, okay, so this is actually what I saw. Now, talk to us about the vehicle uptake in South Africa, the electronically powered vehicles. And, they said to increase, right? But as more affordable vehicles are becoming available. Now, how you charge your vehicle and how to care for your vehicle's battery. Talk to us a bit about electronic vehicles in South Africa and the uptake you've seen in the country with regards to purchasing of these vehicles and how the market's changing in terms of dynamics. Because I noticed on the Car Talk segment very recently, we were talking to somebody from Audi, and they were saying the next vehicles coming from Audi's plant are all going to be electronically powered. So moving forward, a lot of vehicles in South Africa are now heading into the electronic vehicle powered industry, etc. Talk to us about the uptake in South Africa, because a few years ago when Elon Musk launched Tesla, etc., okay, yay, we're all proud South African doing great things. Now we got the electronically powered vehicles, but we've got load shedding. so how is this uptake taken off in South Africa?
All right, so maybe just a terminology thing first. It's called electric vehicles, and it's actually very important. So they're electric cars, not electronic cars. So with an electric vehicle, yes, it's powered by electricity, and you need to plug it in, like you plug in your cell phone. But one of the questions I asked somebody the once is, do you ever plug in your cell phone at night, and because you had load shedding, when you wake up in the morning, the cell phone is not charged? And that doesn't happen because the car doesn't need all night to charge. So load shedding actually doesn't make very much impact at all to people driving electric vehicles. You understand? There's plenty of hours in the evening in order to be able to charge the vehicle. If the load shedding is on for 2 hours or 4 hours for that matter, the car is still full. I arrived at home this afternoon at about 3:30, and I plugged the vehicle in. By 5:30 it was full. So if I can have load shedding all night, it wouldn't have mattered at all to my vehicle. So that's, I think, very important to understand. Load shedding does not impact EV drivers. Where it may impact you is if you were driving along the highway and you were going to stop in Lanesburg, and just by unlucky you've got load shedding in Lanesburg, you might have to wait an hour before you can charge. In terms of so generally it's not a big impact. Most EV drivers don't find it to be a problem at all. The second thing is that you must remember the amount of energy that Eskom actually produces is very, very high. So even if most vehicles became electric vehicles, the amount of energy that Eskom would have to produce more is very, very little. So little, in fact, that it would be more than what the targets are for normal solar and things like that. So when we look at renewable energy will easily outstrip the additional demand that electric vehicles place on the power side of our network. So we are very we really promote the idea that if you're going to be driving an electric vehicle, you absolutely should be looking at solar for your home. It just makes things cheaper. It makes it cheaper, it makes it easier, and also it makes it greener. And a big part of what we're doing this for is really to save the planet and to put options on the table that make it more feasible to manage. And of course, as you look at it, the cost of driving an electric vehicle, while the vehicle itself today might be a bit more expensive, the actual running cost of the vehicle is a lot cheaper than running a petrol vehicle. So based on that, you'll see this is the future technology where it's going to go. So how's the uptake in South Africa? It has not been what we expect it to be, and I think everybody can say that. Part of the reason is, I think, firstly, there is a tax in South Africa that is more than what should be taxed on electric vehicles. We pay more for electric vehicles than we do for petrol vehicles. In fact, 7% more. So they're 7% more expensive than even a fossil fuel vehicle when it comes to taxes. More importantly, most other countries are doing away with taxes on electric vehicles, maybe for a short period, 4 or 5 years, just to allow the vehicles to grow in the market. Now, if you don't do that, then what you end up being is you end up falling behind technologically. So this is what's happening in South Africa. So because we haven't found a way to incentivize people to buy electric vehicles, what's now happening is that as a country, we're seen as not necessarily in the lead to that. Certainly not on the continent anymore. So the other countries on the continent that have got more progressive legislation and tax laws around the promotion and the driving of electric vehicles. And the reason why you want to drive it now is that this is a new technology. If we don't support the technology, it's the same as cell phones. If people weren't buying cell phones in the beginning, the price would not have come down. Cell phone towers would not have gone up. All of that technology would not be there, and it would not be at our disposal today to be able to leverage that and work with that. So it's so important that we find a way to support this industry, whether it's through government or then just through other people like ourselves, where we've gone and looked and said, let's put charges down on all the major highways. So N1, N2, N3, N4, all of them we put charges down. Those charges allow us to drive pretty much anywhere in the country, except maybe Upington. But if you're going to go to anywhere else in the country, you're going to find an electric charger. And you will find them at most major malls around Johannesburg, around Cape Town, around Port Elizabeth, Durban. Wherever you go, you're going to find chargers in those malls. And those chargers are there to firstly show that we're ready to handle it. And secondly, they get used a lot. So people driving electric vehicles will be charging often on those networks. We see cars maybe weekly driving down to Cape Town, using the network all the way down, and it's a very, very cheap trip. You drive down to Cape Town, it'll cost you maybe 500 Rand, 600 Rand, 1,000 Rand, depending on where you're charging and how much you're paying for the charge.
Now, Winston, I want to talk about, the interest in electric vehicles, the growth that it's seeing in South Africa. There are less than about 1,500 or let's say 2,000 full electric new vehicles on the road in South Africa, right?
Correct.
But
Yes.
the numbers are growing steadily. It's reported that the electric cars are a bliss to live with, right? After all, you don't have to worry about oil and oil leaks, etc. Now, when it comes to the long-term maintenance of your vehicle, right? Can you explain to the viewers and listeners right now some of the basics when it comes to, the importance of, long-term service and maintenance of these vehicles and what you should do and what you shouldn't do?
Sure. So at the end of the day, the maintenance of the vehicle is a lot easier and less than it is on a fossil fuel vehicle. So you don't have an engine that you have to worry about. You don't have engine oil that you have to worry about. You still do need to worry about the standard things like shock absorbers, brake systems, wiper fluid. You've got to worry about the normal things, just nothing related to the fuel system. And in terms of battery, the only real rule about batteries, and there are a lot of people that talk about memory effects and about all sorts of funny things. None of that really happens. These are modern batteries. They are large batteries. The biggest thing about them is they don't like to stay full for too long, and they don't like to stay empty for too long. So if you get home and your battery is almost empty, plug it in and get it charged. If you're going to be going overseas for 3 months, don't leave your car at 100%. Leave it at 80%. So that's the only two things you have to worry about in terms of actual maintenance on the batteries. Beyond that, there's some belief that if you charge too often, a fast charger can damage the battery. Again, that's not really true. Most of the batteries today are modern batteries. They really can handle high C charging rates. So there's no reason to be concerned about using them on fast or slower charging. The battery likes a slower charge, but it doesn't have to have a slower charge.
Now, one key area of the electric vehicle is that it doesn't require attention, long term, right? However, as an owner and potential owner, battery care and maintenance is very important. What would you say is the fundamental with regards to batteries in our vehicle and, the misconception that South Africans have got in this regard? I mean, when the electronic vehicle torpedo was heading with regards to SA makers in South Africa, right? Should you charge your electric vehicle at 100%, as opposed to your electronic device like a laptop and a cell phone? Should you keep your percentage, above 60 to 80%? What would the dynamic be when it comes to this?
So what we always say to people, electric vehicles are driven full to full. So you charge the vehicle every opportunity that you get. When I wake up in the morning, my car is full. So I don't have to go to the fuel station. I don't have to go to a charging station. I can drive my day and I come home, I plug it in. The next morning I wake up, the car is full. So that's something that I get used to as an electric vehicle driver, that I would get very frustrated in a petrol vehicle that every time I wake up in the morning, the car is not full. In fact, I've got to check how much is in it because I might not be able to do my trip for the day. Whereas with an electric vehicle, literally every morning I get up, the car is full. I can do 200 to 300 kilometers every day with my vehicle. And I never need that, or very seldom do I need that. So therefore, I get my entire daily commute in and I can plug it back in at night when I go. And should I need, let's say, so for example, on Monday, I will be going down to the Kroonstad charger because we want to do some upgrades there. And when I drive down, so that will mean I will have to stop and charge along the way and on the way back again. But there are plenty of chargers available for us to do that.
Okay. Now I want to ask about, direct current fast charging, right? Maybe there's some viewers who come from an electrical engineer perspective and background. Their understanding of these kind of things would be maybe a bit more better than me. But, the big box chargers you see at the malls, etc. Talk to us about the differences in terms of understanding fast charging your EV, and what would you say, should you rather fast charge your electric vehicle or shouldn't you do that? Well, because there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to this type of topic and this type of aspect in this regard.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a general rule, and anybody who tries to give you a general rule is probably quoting speculation and things, not necessarily quoting the science.
Right.
So in general, if you need a fast charger, charge fast. If you don't need a fast charger, charge slowly.
Okay.
So if I look at my charging, most of it happens at home. So therefore, that's mostly slow charging. On the odd occasion, I might charge at work, and there's a fast charger. So there's not a rule that says you must or you shouldn't. As I said earlier, don't leave the battery full too long. Don't leave it empty too long. The vehicle itself will be limited. So, for example, my car will get to it'll be able to charge at 50 kilowatts on a DC fast charger. But one of the newer cars coming into the market, if you look at the vehicles coming from Mercedes-Benz, from Audi, from BMW, all of them will be charging at 150 kilowatts. So if I plug my car into a 150 kilowatt charger, my car simply just takes 50 kilowatts. It doesn't worry. So the car will protect itself by not allowing a charge rate more than what the car was designed for. So it really is very easy to use. There's no concern that the customer has to have. The customer doesn't have to understand those things. He'll understand the difference. A DC fast charger is a DC fast charger versus an AC charger, which is slower. And the real difference is, remember, the vehicle has got a battery inside it. So electric vehicles have batteries in them. And batteries work on DC current, not AC current.
Yeah.
Our power network works on AC current. So in order to charge a battery, you've got to convert the AC over to DC and then charge the battery. What happens is that the DC chargers, we do that conversion inside of the charger so that the current coming to the car is already DC. Where the slower chargers, the conversion happens inside the car. So we put AC into the car and the conversion happens inside of the car to charge it.
Okay. Now I want to talk about the Jaguar I-Pace and some of the best vehicles to look at when it comes to, obviously, being the 2020 SA Car of the Year. What are the other, electric vehicles that are really booming in the market right now, with regards to, obviously, the I-Pace being one of the 2020 Cars of the Year? What are some of the other variants that we are seeing, and what can we look forward to coming into 2022?
Yeah. So at this stage, there's really 4 models of vehicles available in South Africa. And I say at this stage, there's Jaguar I-Pace, there's the BMW I Series, there is the Mini Electrics. What's the 4th one? I've forgotten. But anyway, so there's really 3 or 4 vehicles in the market. Just in the first quarter next year, we'll see probably between 12 and 15 models being launched in South Africa. So we can look forward to seeing vehicles coming from Audi. They've got, I can't remember, it's 4 or 5 brands, different models coming in. Mercedes-Benz has got 4 models. BMW's got 3 models coming in. So we're going to see a huge number of vehicles early next year. All of those are, let's call them SUVs, mini SUVs, sports cars. If you look at things like the Audi GT or the Porsche, Porsche was the 4th one, by the way. And then, but if you look at all these technologies, we're seeing a lot of those premium vehicles coming to South Africa. We are definitely expecting that within the next year or 2, we'll start to see much more lower priced vehicles, or let's say smaller vehicles, so more accessible vehicles. So I think everybody's very excited to see what VW will be launching towards the end of next year. We're hearing rumors of people like Fiat coming into the country, Kia, various other models coming in. So it's not unrealistic to think that by the end of next year, we could see 20 to 30 models of electric vehicles in the country, as opposed to right now, there's only 4. And that's really going to be a game changer for us. So we will see a lot more across all of the brands. And I can assure you that rate of adoption, if we see 30 new brands next year, the year after that, we'll see 300. That's how fast they're going to be running the things. OEMs
That's
like
the pace,
Audi has said that they'll launch their last petrol vehicle will be launched in 2026. And after that, they'll never launch another petrol vehicle. They're expecting that by
petrol or diesel power, they're all going to go electric.
They'll be all electric, 2030 to 2031. Now, that's one manufacturer. If you look at people like Jaguar, they've said maybe as early as 2026, they'll be all electric. So we're seeing more and more of the big manufacturers committing to say that within the next 10 years, we will see a drive to go fully electric. And the challenge is going to be very simple. The vehicle prices are going to drop. The servicing and the maintenance of them is lower. The operational cost is lower. They're nicer cars to drive. They're more smooth. They're quicker. Everything about them is a nicer experience in driving. And simply based on that, there's going to be a very rapid uptake, way more rapid than what anybody's expecting, especially when things like the small SUVs start coming, or not SUVs, the light delivery vehicles or the bakkies. When these vehicles start coming into South Africa, things like Rivian, we're going to really see a fast change towards electric and to what the electric power technologies can deliver.
Very interesting, man. Well, Winston, it's been great chatting with you, though, and we've come to the end of the program, unfortunately, though. But there's so much to talk about. GridCars.net, guys, it's the website to go and visit. Have a look at it. Go and check it out. Get a bit more understanding as well. I mean, Audi has opened its reservations for fully electronic e-tron, as I understand as well. Have a look at this, man. Have a look at the charge points around the country as well, and you can learn a bit more about the active charge, etc. And you can find out a bit more about the charge pockets as well. Winston, Jordaan, thanks so much for your time tonight, man. It's been great chatting with you. You've provided so much more insight and knowledge. You provide a wealth of experience to this, man. Great stuff. We really appreciate it. And until the next Car Talk segment, where I'll be driving the e-tron, hopefully, we'll chat soon, man.
Thank you. Just encourage everybody to go out and do selfies.
Have an awesome weekend, man.
And promote them. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man. That's Winston Jordaan, the CEO of GridCars. Go onto the site, gridcars.net. Have a look at that. Yeah, and you can learn a bit more about, electronic vehicles, etc. Wow, man, it's been such an interesting interview. A jam-packed lineup. Whew. And when you're having fun, the fun don't stop. And I told you that we won't stop. Yeah, anyway, having said that, it brings us to the end of yet another fantastic show of Friday Night Live with ST. Man, I can't wait to get back to the studio. It's been a long journey, but very soon, inshallah, we'll be in our brand new studios, brand new building, brand new setup. Yeah. Anyway, having said it, have an awesome weekend. And yeah, inshallah, until the next time, until we meet again, have a safe weekend wherever you are. If you're embarking on a journey, please be safe on the roads. And take care and be safe. Until we chat again, Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah. Take care.